Good evening. This is Pale Criminal. Taking a few days off. My apologies, but I'm back. Tonight I want to talk about media elections. The media has become an irresponsible detriment to fair elections in Canada. Freedom of the press was determined in U.S. constitutional law because in that time newspapers, and I stress that, wrote stories about what was happening in their society. They were responsible for letting the citizenry know what the issues were and how the candidates addressed those issues from day to day. Today's media is concerned more with ratings than with reporting the news. Let's face it, it's just a fact. This means that they make elections into something that can only really be described as a horse race. The leaders' race. While we do need to know what the leaders of each party have to say about the issues, we really do need to know more about what our local representatives are doing, whether that's community led write ups. You know, you can go down that road however you like. Parliamentary government is not best served by single voice leadership. The media has made party leadership into an American style election by popularity. We don't have a Republican electoral system in Canada. So the leaders of our parties are not presidents. They're not designed to be presidents. Focusing too much time and energy on who the leader is and what they say, what their debates are about, really is a detriment overall to how our elections are run. There's been a development in cabinet government in Canada that is very detrimental to what I'm going to call good government. Not too long ago, a generation or two, cabinet wrote up bills for debate in Parliament based on what a committee had decided was the best solution to a given issue. Now it seems that cabinet is creating bills for Parliament based solely on what the party leadership promised to do in the media, usually as a response to something the media has declared as being the most important thing to be talking about right now. Party leaders, in their piece of it, are labeled by the media based on what creates the greatest sensation. If a leader leads too directly, he's labeled as a tyrant. If he allows decisions to be made without him, by committee for instance, he's labeled as a weak leader. And goodness knows if he does not follow up on all of his election promises, he's labeled as having lied to the public, despite his reasons for changing policy. I'm calling for a return to responsible government. I want to see a return to that responsible government in Canada. It's not going to be an easy process. We really are going to have to work at it. But the first step will have to come from us, asking ourselves what we really want our government to do. The next step will be to hold our elected officials responsible for doing their best for their communities and then for their country. And the final step will be to stop allowing the media to dictate what policy items get front page importance. In order for us to be ruled well, we need to return to our original ideals, as archaic as it might sound, of peace, order, and good government. I'm going to emphasize the good government part. And that's not saying that everybody in Parliament has to be a good guy and have a moral battle. In fact, I really don't care what they do in their private lives at all. I don't even want to know about it. That's irrelevant to me. Assuming, of course, that, you know, we're not talking about criminal behavior. But I don't care if they're having a fight with their wife. Don't care if they don't get along with another member of cabinet. None of that's relevant to any of this conversation. It does make great headlines in the media, and that's where it can stay, and we can pretty much assume that we need to ignore a lot of that stuff. The only way that I can see us getting back to having responsible government is by denying the media influence on everything election oriented. I would even go so far as to say that we might be better off not having TV coverage of the elections at all. Having said that, and I know I will have several people, if not hundreds, depending on how many people actually view this, uh, arguing with me on this. I'm not saying that I don't want to have anyone reporting debates or reporting speeches. I'm kind of saying almost the exact opposite. I would like to have newspaper reporters, people documenting what was said, putting it in print, and allowing people to view it themselves. It takes a lot more work as a citizen to read a few newspaper reports than it does to listen to the 5 minute spiel on the 5 o'clock news or to read that spiel that somebody posted on Facebook. I understand that. I'll return to my conclusion. In order for us to be ruled well, we need to return to our original ideals of peace, order, and good government. We can't get there continuing to run our horse races. We need to do something different. I will no doubt return to this conversation about the election here over the next month or so while we have an ongoing barrage of electoral reviews. But I'm going to finish off for tonight. I want you to think about something. And I'll be talking about a couple of other things in the next couple of videos. But I'll come back to this at a later date, I'm sure. And maybe I'll take a look at some of what's going on in the media in a little more detail before I do. We have a free society, but it's based on a very different mentality than the Republican presidential regime. And I think there's a reason for that. And I think that what a lot of people note as distinctions between Canadians and Americans has to do with how our regime works or should work, as opposed to how their regime works or should work. There's a level of mutual responsibility involved in our idea for government that I think we're losing because of how elections are being run. And I really wish that there was more effort put into bringing us back to that point. So for tonight, just give that some thought. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that, agreements or otherwise. As always, I look forward to that. Let me know what you think. Thank you and good night.